we're in maritime domain awareness, and that's all about understanding what's going on in the marine domain. So if you're on a vessel, what's happening around you? If you're an authority, what's happening in the marine environment, but also what's happening with vessels and where are the threats, where are the risks, how do we manage those vessels that are moving in the marine domain? And we provide technology and systems that enable people to understand that and then take appropriate actions. On our transceiver side, we make these black box transponders, and they're called AIS transponders, and they're used to digitize navigation. And so they're used for navigation safety for vessels, but also for monitoring the environment, monitoring navigation buoys. What makes us different in that world is that we have the complete range of products covering all applications, and the quality and the performance of the transponders. And we're renowned for that, and as a result, people like the US Coast Guard, Trinity House, RNLI, all come to SRT for their transponders. On our systems side of the business, what makes us fundamentally different is we've developed from scratch an integrated maritime surveillance system that can be deployed at a national scale. Before us, there were lots of maritime surveillance systems, but just for ports, not for a whole country. And what makes us different is we integrate multiple sensor systems along the coastline, patrol vessels, and satellites, all into a single operating environment. And so you can imagine an operator sitting in a command center, like a NASA command center, and on their screen, they can see the whole of their country's maritime domain, all on a single screen. So there's end-to-end of monitoring the maritime domain, analytics that spot the behavior of vessels, action management systems enable you to do something about it, and nobody else has been able to do that. That is a product of 8 years of R&D by 50 to 60 engineers to get here. Today, there's almost no surveillance and management of the maritime domain. If you contrast that to the air traffic control market, in air traffic control, there are about 30,000 commercial aircraft worldwide. And in the 70s, it went from being sort of run by the military to being civil aviation authorities actually managing and looking at the aircraft. And that's created a $9 billion a year market. You can't imagine now flying into Heathrow or JFK without knowing that there's an air traffic control system managing that. In the marine domain, there are 26 million boats, most of whom are moving around inland waterways, coastlines, oceans without any tracking and monitoring. And so there's this trend of digitizing all of that so we can manage that effectively to conserve the environment, search and rescue, navigation safety, and security. It's the longest border. The UK's biggest border is its coastline, for example. In the Middle East, most of the countries, the biggest border is their coastline. If you look at the Philippines, they have 8,500 islands at high tide. At low tide, it's 9,000 islands, and 2 million square kilometers of coastline and 300,000 boats. They need to be able to manage that and find out where the problem is so they can dispatch vessels and planes, etc., to control the security and the safety of the oceans. We took the decision many years ago to get into the transceivers market and to make sure we had the best products. In the end, you can be as much salesman as you like, but actually to scale on a global basis to the size of the market that we're talking about, you need to have the best product. And we've invested for years to develop in our transceivers business the best products. And so our growth strategy there is to work with our 1,100 plus distributors all around the world and continue to be a reliable supplier of reliable products that perform the best. On our systems side, our growth strategy, we're right at the beginning of the adoption by these countries of digitizing their maritime surveillance. And so we have established ourselves in the last 8 years as having the only truly integrated systems. We've won £75 million worth of contracts since we first entered that market 8 years ago. It's a slow burn because you have to develop the product, you have to develop the market. Notable wins would be people like Panama Canal, Bahrain Coast Guard, Philippine fisheries, and we're right at the beginning of that growth curve. So really there's, in the systems business, it's to keep doing what we've been doing today and now to reap the rewards of that 8 years of investment.